Good evening and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, principal of Simply Improve Health, and I help veteran-in-law improve enjoyability of health products and simple techniques. This evening, I'm joined by a special guest, and I am really excited about it because I found a kindred spirit in someone who's going to be joining me on a new initiative. But more about that a little bit later. Let me introduce my guest, and I am bringing on, if my computer will behave itself, Senzeni. Hold on, come on, don't play with me. There we go. There. Good evening and
Hi there,
welcome.
Sheila. Thank you.
Yes, I mean, well, you prefer Senzeni or Carol? Which do you prefer?
Tanzania, actually.
Oh, well, I do too, to be quite honest. I think your name is beautiful, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But I just want to crown as to two of us met. Facebook is connecting with new, but quickly found out not only has some work done, but I think found that we're a bit of kindred spirits. I think I'd like to think anyway. But we're going to let Senzeni introduce herself, starting with where and why you have such a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you. Actually, the my name is from my dad. He's originally from Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and he insisted that I have this name. It means from where have we come and where are we going? So you say Senzeni, our country, Senzeni, our women. And my middle name is Carol, and that is my Starbucks name. So whenever I make a reservation or something like that, if I'm working with people, I just say Carol because it's a lot easier.
I get that. I totally get that. But well, as I said, we found that we work together in similar ways, and so I wanted to um, have you talk a little bit about what you do and how did you get started doing it?
Wow, thank you, Sheila. It's a pleasure being here and being able to talk about this. So I'm the founder and principal at Voice Reversals, and it started 5 years ago when I was doing a personal development course. I realized I wanted to make a contribution to society at large, and by dedicating myself to health and wellness. At the time, I wasn't really sure exactly how. And a good friend of my mom of 50 years, she sent me a link to information. Actually, it was an interview about reverse technology. And I was absolutely fascinated that listening to your voice backwards could reveal so much information about your health and your challenges, everything, all that's in your blind spot. And so I took a 2-year training course and became just totally fascinated by the process. And I'm now looking to launch my own course. It's a 6-week course in January to start a community of professionals who are knowledgeable about this powerful tool and be open to collaborating with reversal professionals to empower their practice, their clients, and themselves.
Wow, I just when you told me about this voice reversal, I was fascinated, not quite sure what it was about. Now that you're starting to explain even more to me, I find myself even more fascinated because in my own work, particularly when I'm doing counseling work, psychotherapy work, the thing that I listen to the most is not only the words that people say, but the energy or the feeling behind it, which is where the real meat is going on, is where you really get into what's going on inside the person. But for me, it's more an intuitive response because that's the way I work with the world is from my sense of intuition, which is quite strong. But this, what I find fascinating about this is that um, there is um, there's an actual technique, that there's an actual process whereby people can hear for themselves, not just me perceiving it or you perceiving it, but that there's a process that you can run it back so that they can hear it as well. And I find that very interesting. But I think it's not just a matter for you of being, you've heard about this technique and it was interesting to you and it caught your imagination. But I would tend to think that um, this is healing work is something that is kind of integral to who you are. And I'd like to get behind the work a little bit and talk and get to know the woman. Who is Senzeni about, and what's she looking forward to, and where did she come from? I think that's the real interesting story.
Oh, thank you, Sheila. Actually, this how I came across reversals has to do with who I am, obviously, and basically, I worked. I used to be a workaholic, and I used to be, you know, in working in education, international education, with a lot of young people. And I worked long hours, and I basically found that I was a perfectionist and I had to get everything right all the time. And then what I found was that um, soon after I started working with reversals, I began a huge life transition, basically because truths were revealed to me that really made a difference in my life. It made a difference because I found that the obstacles and the hurdles that I was facing actually had answers to them and reasons behind them and things that I could work on. And it was reversals were a fast, direct, and effective way to access different complex issues that I had been dealing with up in my life up until that time. So basically, soon after I started working inside of the reversal field, I started transitioning, making major life transitions. So I used to live in Madrid, Spain. I lived there for 17 years. And I decided I wanted to move out of the city. I was a complete urbanite, into the country and back to nature. And so right now I'm living on a farm and in the mountains.
But not in Spain.
Not in Spain. I moved home to Canada. Yeah, I moved home to Canada, and it's a completely different life from the urban, the hustle bustle, the gray, can I get out to see the sun today type thing, into,
in Madrid?
I'm going to visit the horses in 5 minutes. And
I find it hard to believe that, you're talking about Madrid is supposed to be sunny and hot. I mean, though it can get cold in the wintertime, but, that's not the general impression that people may have when they think of Madrid, that it's this cold and kind of dreary.
No, it's not. But you know what happens when you're working? Because, like I said, I was a workaholic. And so I wasn't actually going outside and enjoying the sun. Madrid is actually very, very sunny, and I had many walks in the parks and things like that. But, when you're working and you're a workaholic, and, maybe some people can identify with this, but you're working long hours. And in my case, it was in front of the computer, and I would be trapped. So even though the weather is wonderful and it's all out there to be experienced, right? I found myself trapped, like nearly imprisoned in my own office, and with really high expectations of myself and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish. And I felt like it was my own world that I created for myself, and I always felt like there was something missing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, just as a note, I said you have one of your friends is Nadege Montes.
Yes.
She says, "Hello, Carol."
Thank you.
Hello, Attila. Thank you for joining us, and say happy Sunday to both of us. So happy Sunday. But now that you have just decided to worked more deeply with voice reversals. How do you find that that has changed your life, or going forward? I mean, what do you I mean, just how has it impacted your life since you've begun doing this work?
Well, the huge things that I get from doing this work have to do with working with the people. It's all about the people. So this is the biggest gift, is actually to witness the journey that people are making and able to undertake as they step into an empowered way of living their lives. Whether it be because their health improves or their finances have improved, or whatever area of life that they are looking to have a transition or transformation in. And so clients tell me that there's like a before and an after. And for me, it's just a privilege to accompany them and support them through the modality as they continue on their life's journey and explore new areas for themselves. I've also become my own boss. So the workaholic thing is definitely over. I set my own schedule and I can work from anywhere, which has completely changed my life, as you can imagine. And after a lot of soul searching, I feel like I finally stepped into what I meant to do in this life and on this planet.
Wow. I mean, and it's so rare that I think that people manage to find fairly quickly or fairly easily what their purpose is in life actually is. I know it took a lot of years and a lot of struggle and a retreat a year ago this week for me to not just so much to find what it might my why in life, but to actually implement it. And that's to kind of segues very nicely into the next phase, if you will, of both of our lives and how they intersect. We've decided to, because of the similar ways that we work, and we were both working on projects for the new year, that we would pool our resources, as it were, and collaborate on a new initiative. But I'm not going to tell you what that is just yet. It's about not just about keeping your interest, but also about educating you, because this is something that's new, not only to you, people watching and listening, but to me. So I'm going to be educating myself along with you during this process. And in the new year, you're going to see the results of some of that self-education, which I will share with you on air. And I'm really excited about that. But I'm not going to tell you about that either. Not yet. But Cinzanni, what I would like to share with people is that in a typical session where you're doing a voice reversal, I know you said that based on the conversation that you have with the person recording that session, whether it for short period or pull out information when it's played back. If you can, without revealing too much, just kind of walk people through what a session would actually be like.
Okay, thank you for asking that, Sheila, because it is quite a mystery, isn't it? Basically, I have questions that I ask people, things like, what is the area that you are most wanting to transform in at this time? Or what is the most challenging area for you? People simply speak and they say, oh, I want to improve this, or I want to, I'm having an issue with this, or whatever. It could be any range of areas. Now, I happen to focus in on health and wellness, but I've also had people wanting to talk about business and whether they should partner with someone in business, whether they should sign an investment contract or not, etc. It can be really about anything. And as they're speaking, I just they sign off beforehand, their permissions, of course, and then what I do is I tape their responses. It's just a natural conversation. And after that,
Right.
I go off on my own and I look for the reversals using a software that I have. And then the next time that I meet with this person, they get a chance to listen to the forward section of what they were saying and the reversals that it produced. So they can actually hear their own reversals in 3 different speeds: 100% speed, 85% speed, and 70% speed. And they can hear what they say. So I've had, for example, someone talk about their stomach issues. And actually, this is something that I'm going to, present. And they're saying, oh, I've had some stomach issues since I was a little girl. And then in reverse, it says something about a bug eater. And it turns out that they had actually a parasite in their stomach, and that's why their stomach wasn't doing well. So reversals really it can reveal very directly. And sometimes it's actually revealed more indirectly through metaphoric or archetypal language, which needs a little bit of interpretation. But basically, it's all there in black and white, and you can hear it. So that's how the reversals work.
Now that's truly amazing, because I have always maintained that the body acts out what we don't express, whether we express it out loud or express it in writing or express it, but at least acknowledge it. When it goes unacknowledged or unrecognized, it has a tendency to drop down, if you will, into the body, from the head, from the mind, into the body, and becomes what we call somatized. And when things become somatized like that, people don't necessarily recognize that there's an issue. Because aches and pains are aches and pains. We hurt ourselves, we do this, we do that, and therefore we get these aches and pains. But I've always maintained that the body will say what our mouths don't. And it seems to me that with the reversals, that's what you're talking about. It's getting that unspoken dialogue out into the open.
Absolutely. Actually, it's the unconscious mind. So if you think of unconscious, that's when you're sleeping, right? So really what it's doing, and it's interesting because clients often feel like, oh, I'm a good person, so my reversals are going to be really good. But actually the reversals are there to tell us what we need to work on. And so the reversals usually bring up a lot of things. But there's 2 main aspects about reversals. The first one is that they always say the truth. So no matter what you say in the forwards, the reversals will always tell you the truth. And the second thing is that any question that I can ask, you have the answers already, and it will be revealed in the reversals. So there's no question that can't be answered. So with these 2 things, armed with these 2 things, what we find is we actually get like a mind map of the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is kind of like your hard drive. If you think of the conscious mind, you wake up in the morning, you might make affirmations, or this is subconscious programming, or you make decisions every day. This is conscious programming. But to actually get to the unconscious, that's like your hard drive, right? And it's in a way accessing your hard drive and seeing what's there. Like, yeah.
Well, I'm just looking at one of the comments here, and it says, being able to find your purpose in life is a journey, yet an empowering one. And it's absolutely right. And not only is it an empowering journey, it's the only journey really that we're on in life, is to become who we actually are. Now, I want to pick up on something that you said, is that the reversals don't lie. And I know that from when I do counseling work, as I said, as an intuitive, I feel what people are saying beneath what people are saying. So their mouths are saying one thing, but what my inner heart hears is what's going on underneath. The real dialogue, the one that's the unspoken dialogue. And so people are always kind of surprised when I kind of pick up and say, well, wait a minute, what's this, and this? Because I'm sensing X, Y, or Z. But it's nice to know that there's an actual physical technique that people can actually see in a visible way, because I'm just feeding it back to them in terms of what's coming through to me on an emotional level. But this is a nice way for the clients to see in a graphic or visible kind of way that hidden and unspoken dialogue. Now, what I like about all of this, that when you started talking to me about this, is the fact that it is simple, it is a natural technique. There's no kind of drugs or hidden things or anything like that. And it is quick, and it is permanent. And all of the tools that I use when I work with clients, I mean, whether they be flower essences or crystals or Reiki energy or doing other things, working with their dreams in particular, I find that when you are able to tap into the unconscious mind and really get to the nexus, the core, the kernel of whatever it is that's causing this issue or symptom to arise, when you address it and resolve it, it's finished. It's done. You don't have people, excuse my language, hanging on your tit for the rest of your life because you're not addressing the problem. You're just applying a plaster to it. And that's what I think, for me, is the greatest draw with regard to this technique. You have people that are they're shifting, and they're shifting in a substantial and permanent way, rather than chinking away at it or chipping away at it. And they're back at you, for more of the same, a few months, few years, or whatever later. Now, how do you find that people, when they've gone through this technique with you, what are you finding in terms of their shifting? What is happening to them, and what are they feeding back to you about what's happening to them?
Okay, great. Thanks for that question. And also thanks for your impressions. That's wonderful to hear. I want to talk about this one case study that I had, because she was my first client, and she had a substance abuse issue. All right. And she had done so many different things, so many modalities, and, but she had been abusing substances for about 15 years, like basically her whole, 15, 20 years, her whole adult life. And the thing is about the progress for her was that she didn't want to tell me what actually she was doing. So it was through the reversals that I understood that she had a substance abuse problem. She didn't come to me with that, and she just said she had financial issues that she wanted to resolve. That was all. And actually in the reversals, because they reveal the truth, right, I actually found that this was an issue for her. And now it's a very delicate situation when a client comes to you. They're not willing to reveal what's actually going on, and yet what's actually going on. And so I had been working with her. I revealed the reversal to her that indicated to me that there was an issue with substance abuse. And we just went over it and continued. It wasn't something that we honed in on. But about, a few weeks later, when we were well into our sessions together, she came to me and said, Senzeni, I need to admit something to you. And it was this huge thing, that she was admitting to me that she was a substance abuser and that her finances were bad because she had been using 60% of her income on that. And she was in debt and living with her mom and all these things. And actually, I told her, I said, it's a big step that you come forward to say all this, but I knew this from the very beginning. And what was great about this whole process was we had been working on that issue the whole time, and she wasn't even conscious of it. So, a few weeks later, by the end of our sessions together, she had quit cold turkey and has not gone back, and has since taken off with her business, moved out, had a complete total life transformation. But just all of this to say, and sorry I'm being so long-winded about it, but all
No,
of this to
that's
say
perfect.
that people are working on things that even in their conscious mind are not able to necessarily grasp, or maybe they're in denial about it, or maybe they're not comfortable actually with it. But the reversals are revealing what needs to be worked on, and you're able, like, especially if, for example, coaches or counselors, therapists have the information, that the details about their clients and what they're going through, that they can use their techniques, whatever they might be, whether it's psychotherapy, whether it's dream work, whatever your tools and practices are, you can use the information that is being revealed in the reversals to then apply your methodology, your modality to enhance the journey for your client. And this is actually what I'm focusing on right now, because it's, what I do is a whole modality in and of itself, but the initial aspects, the reversals themselves, reveal so much information that anyone picking up that information would be able to work very effectively and powerfully with their clients, even the most challenging clients.
Wow, I'm just blown away by all of this, because as I said, when we first started this conversation, that we found that there was a lot of synergy between what Cinzeni is doing and how I work with clients, and we were both working on our individual projects, but decided that her project, which is further along than mine, continued onwards, but that what she does would enhance the initiative that I was working on. And as I said, that it's something I'm very excited about. I'm glad to have Cinzeni on board. I mean, I think my initiative was actually waiting for her to come along, to be honest. I really believe that, because I couldn't understand why, when I was ready and everything was ready, why things weren't quite moving. They were kind of inching along. And now I think I have found the reason why, because there was a piece missing. There was a bit of information that, for the client, that would not only enhance the experience of what I was putting on and wanted to do, but would really give them some deep insight into themselves, and give them a process, not only a quote unquote diagnosis, but a process for being able to reverse whatever the situation was, and to move on from it. And that, I find, it was really exciting, and I'm so pleased that we've managed to kind of find one another in the ether of the internet, to be able to do this work together. And I'm going to keep teasing you about this, folks, because it's really going to be kicking off in the new year. But I will be providing information over the coming weeks, and with Christmas coming up, I know you're going to be distracted and not paying any attention. So, but I'll keep feeding you the information, and really get to the nitty gritty and meat of things in this new initiative in the new year. And in fact, I'll even give you the date, January 6th. January 6th, Cinzeni and I are going to meet again here live, and we're going to be actually going through a reversal session with me. I don't know what's going to come up. Hopefully it's nothing too embarrassing. But I don't recommend anything to my clients that I haven't actually tried myself. And so we're all going to experience this together and see what it's like, what an actual session might be like for a person. And then we'll also be announcing the initiative that Cinzeni and I will be working on together. So I think we've covered quite a lot here. I think it's a lot of information for people to process. But I think the most important thing, and I would think you will agree with me, Cinzeni, is that the things that dog us and hold us back are generally not from without, it's from within.
Always.
I think can definitely agree on that. And that there are all kinds of tools, not just what you do, not just what I do, but what many people are doing at the moment is finding ways, simple ways, natural ways to be able to reverse and restore the missing parts of ourselves, or as I like to put it, to polish the rough diamond, to strike off all of the coal and to reveal the diamond that's hiding underneath. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to doing our session live on Facebook in January, on January 6th. And you'll be hearing more about that in the coming days and weeks on other lives as we prepare for that. So lots of good things going on, lots of things happening. And I'm so glad, really, really glad, Cinzeni, that you took the time. And, you know, time is an issue here because she's in Canada. So we always have to, you know, make sure we're properly synchronized so we don't miss one another. But thank you so, so much. I've learned a lot today. I'm pretty sure our listeners have learned something worthwhile today. And I'm really looking forward to bringing forward our joint project to people in the new year. So any closing thoughts from you before we go?
Oh, Sheila, it's been such a miracle, actually, meeting you. I never would have guessed that we would have met in Facebook of all places, and I'm just so grateful. And thank you so much for taking this initiative, taking the time. This is my first Facebook Live, and there's so many new things happening for me right now. So I'm just really excited to be here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything.
Pleasure. I mean, and I'm glad I broke your Facebook Live version duck. So I said from now on, you know, it's like there's no excuse. And so when we do a broadcast, I say you'll be an old pro. So thank you once again, Cinzeni. It's been absolutely wonderful. I'm really, really looking forward to bringing more information about our new initiative over the coming weeks. And do put on your calendar to be here with us on January 6th, but I'll send out a notice about that, where you can find out more. And Cinzeni, if you'd like, if there's a link that you'd like to put up with this post, for people to get more information about your project that's starting in the new year, as well as what reversals are about, please share that with me. I'll be happy to put it up on the as a link with this post. So thank you everyone who's been watching, whether you're watching live, if you're watching on replay, please do let us know. And have a wonderful, wonderful evening, a great week, and we will be back soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.